Lauren's going to like candles, so okay, not long, but yeah. All right, let us begin. Page 10, Hine Matov, page 10, top of page 10.
Hine Matov Manaim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Manaim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Manaim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Manaim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Manaim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Manaim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Hine Matov, la 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 la. Hine Matov, Hine Matov, la 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 la. Hine Matov Manaim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Manaim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Hine Matov, la 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 la. Hine Matov, Hine Matov, la 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 la. Hine Matov Manaim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Manaim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. We're going to turn ahead now to page 24. We'll join in our beautiful Shabbat poem, Shalom Aleichem. Let's join. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Tzitechem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
In just a moment, we're going to light our Shabbat candles and to officially welcome Shabbat. And I just want to share something so beautiful that I learned yesterday officiating at a funeral. You know, the service, Shabbat service, Friday night particularly, is filled with metaphors and images of lightness and darkness, lightness and darkness. And yesterday I was officiating at a funeral of a pretty well-known person whose son got up to speak about being the son of such a renowned father. And he said, people used to ask me all the time what it was like to live in my father's shadow. And he said, I never felt like I lived in my father's shadow. I felt like I lived in his light. And I was so moved by that. There really are two ways to see things. And light is the better of the two. And so it's my honor to invite Lauren to come on up. And you're going to bring Matthew and Dylan with you to light the candles. And we're on pages 2 and 3. Okay.
Kitchanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. In a moment, we'll join together in the Chadodi, pages 20 and 21. This Shabbat has a special name, Shabbat Chazon. And it's called that because the first important word of tomorrow's Haftarah, taken from the writings of the prophet Isaiah, begins that way, Chazon Yeshayahu, the visions of Isaiah. And this is a special Haftarah that immediately precedes the observance of Tisha B'av, the 9th of Av, our national day of mourning, historical national day of mourning. And one of the dirges, these funeral songs that we sing on Tisha B'av, Eli Tzion, is sung in a particular melody that's very old. And the tradition is to sing the Chadodi on Shabbat Chazon in that melody as a little foretelling of what's coming up this week. So I'm just going to sing it without any of our musicians. And simple tune, let's join together. L'chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela l'chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורק קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We rise for the final stanza. We turn to the back of our space and greet the Shabbat bride. בואי ושלום עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלק, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Chatzi Kaddish, page 26. יתגדל ונתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא יברך חירותי ויניח מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בעגלה, בעגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ועלמי עלמיה, יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר, ויתעלה, ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לאלה, מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמיהירן בעלמה, ואמרו
Amen. The Baruch Hu, page 28.
La 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 Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed.
Remember, I talked about the layers of darkness and light, darkness and light contained within a Kabbalat Shabbat service. And here's yet another one, page 30. Let's read the English together. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzivaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המהרים והרבים.
Page 32.
אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated.
Let's all join together in chanting V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. The early part of our service, the Kabbalat Shabbat, all these beautiful psalms that the mystics chose to become part of our Friday night service 500 years ago. And most of those psalms implore us to sing a new song to God. So we offer a new song here, Micha Mocha, our oldest song in our history, sung to what I know for many will be a newer melody by a colleague, Cantor Mark Lipson.
Adonai et Yaakov, u'g'alo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch ata Adonai, ga'al Yisrael. Amen.
Hashkivenu, page 42.
Up to life renewed, may the shelter of your peace encircle the world again. May we be kept from hatred and war. May we be kept from hunger and pain. May the shelter of your peace encircle the world again. Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Shalom. May the shelter of your peace be spread over us. Be spread over us. Be spread over us and all the world. may the shelter of your peace be spread over us. Be spread over us. Be spread over us and all the world. Eloheinu Adonai, Eloheinu Elok Shalom. May the shelter of your peace be spread over us and all the
We join in Vishamru, page 40. Page 44.
44.
And the same chord. All together.
שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בתורות ברית עולם.
ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם.
שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בתורות ברית עולם.
כי ששת ימים, כי ששת ימים, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ.
שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בדורות ברית עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפל.
שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בדורות ברית עולם.
We rise for the Amidah, page 46.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid hilatecha. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, ve'Konei HaKol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקיים הכל.
We continue with the Amidah privately, in song, in text, or in the words of your hearts.
just a moment, it's time for our Tisha B'av prayer on behalf of the people we love who are feeling the isolation and the loneliness of feeling unwell. I was tested positive with COVID about 2 weeks ago, and many of you have suffered through it, some with very little suffering and some with a lot. So I had it, Hannah had it, Aaron had it, Betsy didn't have it. And that's good news because it would have been quite serious if she did. So I spent about 8 days in my son Aaron's childhood bedroom with the trophies and the pendants on the wall, and I don't want to discuss what was in the desk drawer. But I was really isolated. And it just drove home the point to me again that the real pain of illness is the sense of abandonment, of isolation, of being in it alone. And what a difference it makes when someone reaches out, reaches a hand through the door, a text, a call, some flowers. Reaching out makes all the difference. And Tisha B'av is one of the ways that we can reach out. And also one of the ways that we can reach in. Hold people in our hearts who are suffering. So if there's someone on whose behalf you would like us to sing the Tisha B'av tonight, please just stand and I'll point to you. And then you can mention the name or the names. And then we'll join together with Cantor Gurney in the Tisha B'av.
The Tisha B'av text is on page 253, and while you read that text, whispering it to yourself, I'm going to offer this additional prayer for healing. Every day of the week, in the morning and the afternoon, we add this prayer of healing in the weekday Amidah. Rafa'enu Adonai b'nu Rafeh. Heal us, O God, and we shall be healed. Hoshienu v'ni v'ashea. Save us, and we shall be saved. Rafa'enu.
Rifa'enu Adonai B'nei Rafeh Hoshienu V'ni V'asher מקומנו לכל מכותינו ולכל תחלואינו ולכל מכאבינו רפאנו אדוני ונרפא heal us and make us whole והעלי רפואה שלמה save us and ease our pain לכל מכותינו ולכל תחלואינו ולכל מכאבינו grant us full healing for every illness, oh comfort all our pain רפאנו אדוני ונרפא הושיענו ונבשח והרי רפואה שלמה ברוך אתה אדוני רופא החולים
It's a little too much reform for Judaism. You got to worry about whether they can hear you on live stream or not. Okay, I'm going to try and do this. So my question to start my Devar Torah tonight is really a way for you to begin this conversation. Those of you who are willing to share. And the question is, what is the worst or most difficult thing that you have ever survived? And what was the, well, of course, we'll never know the end result because we're all still here, but what has been the result of that most difficult thing that we have ever survived? So you lost your husband, he died, and found your congregation and music and prayer. By the way, in no way is the end result of these things worth it. That is not what I'm about to say. We're hopefully going to arrive at a place where we accept that neither are they worth less. But that's very different than worth it. Stephen, go ahead. Nice and loud. And then she was. Janice? Yeah. Mm.
For me, my husband died almost 9 years ago, his year is right, and I really realized through it the people that were there for me and the people that were not as able to be for me, and sort of refocusing my life to those that really I wanted in my life for the long term versus those that maybe not in my inner circle for the long time.
So this very difficult and tragic loss also cleared a lot of underbrush out of your life, right? Stripped a lot of nonsense away. Yeah. Jack? Well, it's not a race to the bottom here. It's okay. So, you ask Jews what's the worst thing that ever happened. It could be a long night here tonight. You know what I say? A sad Jew is a happy Jew. So this could take some time, but isn't that a great? Sad Jew is a happy Jew. Okay. Yes, I know what you're going to say. You won't believe this story. Go ahead, Jack. That's right. People don't know this, but the temple originally bought only the north part of this block. That's all that was for sale. The southern part of the block was occupied by a 6-story medical office tower with a pharmacy in it and a pharmacist everybody loved. And then the earthquake hit, the building became condemned, and all these physicians, their files, Jack's entire business, and the city wouldn't let him in. And I was in an odd position because the company that was in charge of the demolition, Cleveland Wrecking, was also owned by a temple member, and it was just so painful all the way around. But that corner where the building was owned by an insurance company called Teachers, and it enabled us to purchase the entire block and have the play field for the kids and the parking, and otherwise there'd be no elementary school here. It would just be a nursery school. So out of the ruins. Yeah, out of the ruins. Yeah. How's he doing? Yeah, good. Yeah, and probably a big-hearted person, right? Seriously, yes. Those kids turn out that way. They have old souls. Why do I ask this question and ask us to be vulnerable and share? Well, it has to do with something that Cantor Gurney taught us at the beginning, which is Tisha B'av begins tomorrow night. I mean, this is actually the 9th of Av, but you don't begin it on Shabbat, so we push it a day. And Tisha B'av originally was the day on which Jews commemorated the destruction of the first temple by the Babylonians in the year 586 BCE and the destruction of the second temple by the Romans in the year 70. But it became a kind of vessel, catch-all, for multiple tragedies in Jewish history. Some actually did begin on the 9th day of the month of Av, some close to that day, but it has become a kind of collective gathering place of the major tragedies of Jewish history into one day, the 9th of Av. The destruction of the first and second temple, the end of the Bar Kokhba rebellion, the expulsion from England, the expulsion from Spain, Kristallnacht, the go-ahead from Himmler for the final solution for the Jews. All of these things are commemorated on Tisha B'av. And I want to share with you something that shocked me that I heard from my Reform rabbi when I was 14 years old, that I've thought a lot about. I grew up at a classical Reform synagogue in Minneapolis, very large, about 2,000 families, but I don't know how to put this, very Reform. At 8 o'clock every Friday night, the rabbis would walk in their robes, the entire congregation would stand. I mean, that was okay. There's something to be said for the good old days. And we would sing a hymn entitled, "God is in his holy temple. Earthly thoughts be silent now, while with reverence we assemble and before his presence bow." And then afterwards there was always an Oneg Shabbat, and the sisterhood women would wear hats and white gloves and pour the tea for everyone. You can't make this up. It was like a Coen Brothers movie. And we never talked about God, never talked about Israel. But the rabbi was a really solid guy. His name was Max Shapiro. He had a beautiful way about him. And I had just come back from summer camp where I had learned about Tisha B'av. And I was very moved by it. This idea of the collective tragedy and recognizing the destruction of the temples. And Rabbi Shapiro said to me, it should be a Jewish holiday. It's one of the greatest days for Jews in all of Jewish history. And I thought, what? I said, well, how could that be? And he said, well, if it wasn't for the destruction of the temples, either Judaism would have died because of modernity, or we would be Jews today sacrificing animals at some temple and worshiping in a very primitive way. And that everything we know about Judaism, the beautiful music you heard tonight, the beautiful poetry and prayers in our Siddur, the way we relate to God and to each other, this is all a result of the destruction of the temples in Jerusalem that forced the Jewish people to change, to evolve, to grow. So sometimes these terribly disruptive things bring about the most creative and powerful changes. And I want to say it again. In no way am I here to say it's worth it. I'm merely saying neither is it worthless. And that we don't have to come out as a Jewish people or as individuals. We don't have to come out of the hell of pain empty-handed. We can come out with a deeper feeling of love and clarity and gratitude mixed with the sadness. And that is the most we can do. And that's a lot. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. What'd you say, best rabbi in the West? Apparently you haven't been to New York because they don't know what they're doing in New York. You mean West L.A. or Western Hemisphere? Is that what you were thinking? I know. All right.
The Western Milky Way galaxy.
Exactly. Well, let me say we have some beautiful music and musicians, and I want Cantor Gurney to introduce them, but I would like to say that Jordan on the drums, you are looking, I would just say on my best day of my entire life, I never looked as hip as you do right now. Man, thank you for being here. Browerman graduate. Got a lot of Browerman graduate, right? I mean, the guy's just he's a hip. He's just hip. Like I can't compete. Okay, Don, introduce everyone, please.
The eternal Bill Beck at the keyboard. 50 years with Rosh Boulevard Temple. Leo Shelyapov on clarinet and flute and duduk. And Hope Easton on cello. And, of course, we can't forget Emma Mayer. A year from now,
That's right.
we will be able to call you Cantor Emma Mayer. As you're about to enter your senior year of cantorial school. That's pretty frightening, isn't it? Yeah.
That's really frightening.
Less than a year.
Less than a year.
Do we have to start paying her after that? Being here? I think we
I've
should.
been paying her for
Oh, really? Even better. Even better. And I think, Dylan, I hope this doesn't embarrass you, but I think you may be the only high school senior graduate who's heading off to college in a few days. So we want to wish you a beautiful journey at the University of Texas. Hook 'em horns.
That's right.
Yeah, and we're really proud of you, and we know Matthew's going to miss you a lot, but he'll persevere, right? But congratulations. Yeah, we're proud of you. Any other off to college freshmen here? No. Okay. Oh, yeah, Margie. Okay. So let us return now to weighty matters. Page 282. Since I'm talking about lessons I learned a long time ago, the Aleinu, you might see that there's more than one version here. And I remember in rabbinical school in a debate about which version of the Aleinu Reformed synagogues should be chanting. And I defended the traditional Aleinu because it says that we are not like other peoples on the earth. We are different. We do have different sacred and holy obligations. And that when I say it, I mean it. That Jews have a special responsibility and destiny. And that's really what we're affirming in many ways when we stand up for the Aleinu. That the way in which we articulate our faith and live our faith is different. And it is ours. And it is ours to embrace. So, page 282, please rise for the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. היום ההוא, היום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. I think most of us know that we end with Kaddish. We end with remembering the people we love who have died and yet in so many ways still live within us. Another final example in our service of the commingling of darkness and light, the darkness of loss, and the light of Kaddish, which speaks not a single word of death, but only of the greatness and the goodness and the power of God. In just a moment, I'll be reading first the names of the loved ones of our congregation who have died during the Shloshim this past 30 days, followed by the Yortzeit, the anniversary of death of those loved ones who were here to hold in our hearts tonight. Those of us here tonight for Shloshim or Yortzeit, please rise, and then I will read the names, and then the rest of us will rise with you. We'll stand shoulder to shoulder with you to hold you up in your grief. And we'll recite Kaddish together, which is on page 294. So we begin now with the names of those who have died during the Shloshim. Geraldine Alden, Winifred Beck, Barbara Lynch Braunstein, Sonny Sanford Brody, Marion Brown, Michael Camrus, Stephen Chorna, Graham Durzen, Harold Eisen, Lawrence Judah Janender, Michael Gittleson, Gertrude Klein, Joyce Tratner Leantz, Helena Migdal, Sidney Joseph Moskowitz, Catherine Newmark, and Lee Zlotnick. We add to their names the names of those whose Yortzeits were commemorated during this past week. Paula Alter, Rose Bagelman, George Berkovici, Leah Bergman, Moise Bergman, Charlotte Blattis, Max Block, Jeanette Blumstein, Rhoda Brandell, Jonathan Paul Brody, Benjamin Birkin, Daniel Kolner, Myron Koretz, Dora Dan, Wolf Davidoff, Irene Rosenthal Dick, Aidan Edwards, June Ellen, Robert Ellison, Jerry DeFalco, Carlos Farber, Harry Farkas, Alan Feldman, Frank Fenton, Edith Fisher, Caroline Fisher, Zelda Foreman, Joyce Friedman, Beverly Friedman, Sheldon Allen Geller, Max Goldstein, Peter Grad, Bernard Grad, Leslie Handelsman, Michael Harris, Murray Heichman, Hetty Hertz, Hattie Isaacs, Muriel Jackson, Farouk Javarian, Edward Kalmer, Rona Kaufman, Jonas Benton Kelsel, Milton Kifferstein, Maury King, Musa Kahanzadeh, Theodore Kraut, Henry Kreshik, Manny Kugler, Larry Lauterbach, Rosalind Lefko, Marquita Lisak, Howard Levison, Esther Levin, Francis Levinson, Ava Grace Liadowicz, Max Lieberman, Benjamin Lind, Alicia Lindheim, Murray Loderman, Pauline Leubman, Jenny Markowitz, William Melvin, Robert Mendelson Jr., Eddie Michaels, Anna Mitchell, Emilio Maliarni, Brian Nelson, Fran Newberg, Rita Norton, Julia Catherine Perlman, Janet Peskin, Ruth Peskin, Larry Phillips, Edgar Phillips Jr., Thomas Pollock, Lillian Price, David Racine, Maxine Rice, Paula Ritter, Gilbert Robinson, Donald Rose, Frank Rosenfeld, Marion Rosenstein, Florence Roth, Eva Rivelson, Evelyn Schwartz, Miriam Wilson Shapiro, Stephen Shaw, Joseph Seneko, Ida Steiner, Susan Cohen-Stotsky, Harold Sussman, Chaim Tagger, Jonathan Weiss, Annabelle Weiss, Sam White, Celia White, Rabbi Alfred Wolf, Lawrence Wolfen, and Moshe Aaron Young. Are there any other names to add to Kaddish this evening? We also call to mind and honor those we do not know, but to whom we are grateful, deeply grateful, those who have died defending the United States of America and the state of Israel, the innocent victims of senseless war and terrorism and tragedy all over the world, and everyone who has no one to say Kaddish for them. We take them all as our own. As we rise now and join together in Kaddish, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba be'alma divrach hirutei v'amlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'gala u'v'zman kariv v'imeru Yehi shmei Rabba mivorach leolam u'almei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'alma v'imeru Yehi shalom rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imeru Oseh shalom bimromav v'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imeru. Amen.
Oseh shalom, shalom imromav, v'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imeru. Amen. Oseh shalom, shalom imromav, v'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. V'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Amen. Oseh shalom, shalom imromav, v'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav
v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron le'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila le'mikra'e kodesh zecher yitziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. Barry's
Then you can go
passing
back to
some.
the-
There's more Kiddush grape juice back there, and Barry's passing it around. Let's join together. 1 second.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
everyone.
shalom, everyone.
There is kiddush and challah and some other desserts on the back table, so help yourself.
Some